or DTE. We're checking for gas leaks.
What's up, guys? I want to talk about an Instagram post that I found really quick, and I think there's a bigger problem here that we all need to understand and pay attention to. So let me read to what it says here. Man killed inside home by fake DTE utility workers. Right? So they walk up to this house and they're knocking on the door and they're making themselves seem like they are of authority, right? And that's why I don't agree with this whole just comply mentality, right? Like, listen to the authorities. That's why when mainstream media news calls cops the authorities, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I want to highlight this so that I can remind you guys that you guys have absolute authority over yourselves. Just because somebody that looks like they have some kind of authority comes around knocking on your house, that doesn't mean that you guys have to open the door. On the contrary, absolutely do not open the door. Do not just comply. Question everything, folks. Let me read to you what it says right here really quick. News and awareness. Be careful who you let inside your home. Rochester Hills, Michigan. 2 men posing as DTE energy workers repairing a gas leak on Friday killed a 17-year-old man inside his Rochester Hills home. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard said. The suspects originally came to the house at the 3700 block of Newcastle Drive around 9:10 p.m. Thursday, but were denied entry. Bouchard said at a Friday afternoon news conference outside the home, they returned Friday morning and were allowed inside, the sheriff said. Once inside, the suspects, along with the man who resided at the home, went to the basement, authorities said. A short time later, the suspects came back up to the stairs and located the man's wife. They restrained her by tying her up and bound her hands with duct tape. The woman was able to free herself enough to call 911 shortly after 11 a.m. Bouchard said she initially believed her husband had been kidnapped. He said officers quickly responded to the home in an upscale neighborhood in the northwestern part of Rochester Hills. Inside, they located the man's body in the basement. So it's like I said, folks, and it doesn't matter if it's a police uniform. There's been a bunch of fake cops out there before that have done heinous things to people. So, it's just a quick video and a reminder to not just comply. I know the cops and law enforcement and they expect us to just comply and just obey. Oh, we're not gonna play court on the side of the road. That's what the courts are for, so you guys can fight your cases in the courts. Just comply. They have this mentality that we the people should just comply, but that's not what the American spirit is all about. That's not what this foundation was built upon. This foundation was not, the American freedom is not having the idea or the mindset that the people should just comply. On the contrary, we are a free people and we should question everything. Question government, question the authorities, right? I mean, look what that mentality cost this old couple. This just comply mentality. And, sadly, the man was killed. And hopefully these guys get busted. It just sucks to see what happened. But let this be a lesson to all of us. Do not just comply. Question everything. Question everyone. And your homes, protect them and, safeguard them. Have cameras, courtyard gates and stuff like that. I mean, I see many different things that should have been done differently. Asking questions. Protect your homes, folks. Protect yourselves and don't just comply. All right. With that being said, we're out of here. Thanks.
The stunning new image of a suspect wanted for murder could help solve a horrifying case. Thank you so much for joining us for 7 News Detroit at 11. I'm Mike Duffy. The Oakland County Sheriff says it was a targeted attack against a Hamtramck business owner. 2 suspects showed up at his home on Newcastle Street in Rochester Hills and conned their way into the home.
DTE, we're checking for gas leaks.
What followed left a 72-year-old man dead and his wife tied up and terrorized. Tonight, the sheriff and a former neighbor are sharing what they know with 7 News Detroit reporter Brett Cast.
Well, law enforcement has been here most of the day and now into the night, finally securing that critical footage showing the suspects behind this brutal murder.
Or DTE.
2 men posing as DTE workers investigating a gas leak.
We're checking for gas leaks.
Knock on a Rochester Hills front door. Their car even had a DTE placard on the side, but soon after being let in, they allegedly murdered the homeowner in his basement.
He was found again deceased in the basement basement. We're not sure exactly the cause, quite frankly, because there was so much blood.
Sheriff Michael Bouchard says the suspects first visited Thursday night but came back Friday morning. On that second visit, the 72-year-old homeowner took the suspects downstairs, and then the suspects came back upstairs alone, tied up the victim's wife, and searched the home for roughly 20 minutes.
A loving guy, owned a business, cared about his neighborhood and his community. Shouldn't have been a target of this. No one should ever be a target of this.
Records show the business he owned is a jewelry store in Hamtramck. A sign outside the store said it was closed for a family emergency. The sheriff says they're investigating whether owning the store made him a target by thieves looking for cash or jewelry.
We believe this was very targeted. It wasn't random. They're not just knocking on doors and doing this.
But when I started hearing the details of what happened, it was very disturbing.
Austin Rogers grew up across the street and says his dad is friends with the victim.
He was a nice guy. He was, always doing yard work. That's when I would see him. You always wave, say hello.
The sheriff's department sharing this crucial piece of evidence, hoping someone recognizes the suspects, while a neighborhood is still reeling from what happened.
A utility person walks up to your door. You're inclined to trust them, especially if they have a truck out there that says DTE.
And DTE says before visiting your home, they'll always give you a heads up either by phone, text, or email. They say you can always ask a worker for photo identification. And whenever in doubt, make sure to give DTE a call and they can confirm if that worker is legit.